Please be seated. The Secretary shall read the fourth order.
Debate on Vote 9, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill, B6 2018.
I see Minister Pradel.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Premier, Cabinet colleagues, members of the Legislature, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in increasingly difficult times. Climate change is wreaking havoc across the globe, yet the most powerful leaders in the world are ignoring the dangerous signs and instead driving a fake news agenda stating climate change is not real. Well, locally, we are only too aware of the massive impact climate change can have. We have just seen the tail end of the worst drought in 400 years in the province. I still believe we isn't really out of it yet, and therefore we continue to urge continued water savings and permanent behaviour change to our residents. As government, we must lead and we must drive the agenda and the idea of resilient cities and towns. We must become better prepared and better enabled to withstand the massive shock that keep hitting us, whether it is the economy, fires or drought. The reality of resource constraints, ecological limits and growing socio-economic needs reinforce the importance of planning and environmental management. In this regard, the work of this department is becoming more and more important. While this department plays a key role, it is important to realise that the whole of government and whole of society response is required. There must be a shared vision and a common agenda, but very importantly, also a joint action. Continued population growth in this province impact many of the things we do. For example, waste management, which is also fast becoming a challenge as we start running out of landfill space. The development of the second generation Western Cape integrated waste management plans has revealed a number of challenges which are exacerbated by certain legal provisions. These challenges are having unintended consequences, unnecessary expensive landfill construction costs, which are resulting in a shortage of landfill space in many municipalities. Honourable Speaker, the original budget allocated to the Department and Cape Nature of 604.62 million decreased with 19.085 million in this year. This includes a reduction in the budget allocated to Cape Nature of 12 million. This reduction was effected on the capital expenditure of Cape Nature, specifically on the Kugelberg Nature Reserve, and it was due to the delayed implementation of the development of the reserve. The 12 million has been deferred to the 2019-2020 financial year. The budget for Cape Nature moved therefore from an amount of 302.5 million to 290.5 million. Goods and services is projected to decrease mainly due to an amount of 7.335 million that has been realigned over the MTF period to ensure maximum benefit on projects. The fund will be included in the 2019-20 budget. Further, an amount of 1.25 million was shifted to Vote 1, the Department of the Premier, to maintain and provide technical support towards the integrated waste information system. The department will further receive an amount of 1.5 million from Vote 3, Provincial Treasury, for the development and enhancement of the department's integrated management information systems. An amount of 1,843,000 rand has also been shifted to payments for capital assets as a result of the modernisation of the property centre building and ground floor utilities buildings, as well as the provisions for the replacement of computers, equipment, and portable air quality monitors. Furthermore, an amount of R399,000 was allocated to transfers and subsidies. Achtbare Deputy Speaker, ek is trots op die werk wat Cape Nature doen en ek wil weer eens 'n oomblik neem om Cape Nature se personeel te bedank vir hul harde werk en die goeie gesindheid die afgelope jaar. Dit bly 'n voorreg om met sulke kollegas geassosieer te word en hul spanne verdien ook melding. Die werk om ons omgewing te beskerm terwyl ons belangrike aspekte moet in ag neem, soos voortgesette ontwikkeling ter wille van ekonomiese groei en die verbetering van gemeenskappe raak beslis moeiliker. Ons sien omstrede kwessies wat al meer opkom rondom beplan en ontwikkelingsaspekte in die provinsie wat moeilike besluite benodig en in die toekoms steeds verdere besluite sal benodig. Die enigste manier om vorentoe te gaan met 'n mate van sukses is deur te steun op ervare en wêreldklas kollegas. Looking ahead, tough economic conditions remain the order of the day and will probably not be improving soon. This has already had an impact on available budgets and will certainly affect all our programs moving forward. Honourable Deputy Speaker, ek wil ook van hierdie geleentheid gebruik maak om my departement te dank vir hul harde werk, vir onder leiding van die HOD Piet van Zyl. Sy totale span is werklik 'n voorreg om met sulke kundige mense te kan werk. Met daardie paar woorde lê ek dan die begrotingsaanpassings vir die departement Omgewingsake en Ontwikkelingsbeplanning aan die huis voor. Ek dank u.
Dankie minister. Achtbare Philander.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The Western Cape is a great province. Our provincial government is doing everything in its power to adapt to the increasing demands on our natural and built environment, especially in terms of unavoidable factors such as climate change and the continued rise in population growth being experienced in our province. Die beveiliging van ons natuurlike omgewing in die Weskaap vir die wat na ons kom, terwyl die landskap wel ontwikkel word, is 'n absolute prioriteit vir die departement. I welcome that our provincial treasury remains committed to building its capacity in light of the poor economic growth being experienced throughout the country, and as a consequence, several budget cuts have been made across several of our provincial departments. Achtbare Speaker, as 'n DA-regering is hierdie departement geen uitsondering as dit kom by 'n professionele en verantwoordelike regering wat kwaliteit diens lewer aan almal in die Weskaap. The reality remains that economic growth nationally remains at a dismal level at just over 1%. Poor economic growth requires an increasing need to address existing challenges through the application of new ideas, new technology, and improved skills. Under the guidance of Minister Anton Berdel, his department has continued to embark on creating social systems that can cope with increased climate stress, developed infrastructure, and the necessary expertise to deal with changes to the environment or economic externalities. This department has proven to be one of those business unusual. And now more than ever, has it been important for the Western Cape government to squeeze inefficiencies and corruption out and increase the value for money with regards to public spending. This requires prudent, technical, capable provincial treasuries with strong political champions, as we have come accustomed to seeing in all DA-led governments across our country. Deputy Speaker, during the 2018 adjustment estimates, the original budget of 604.621 million decreased by 19.085 million to 585.536 million. A major contributing factor for this realignment of funds is seen in the Cape Nature capital expenditure, namely the Kogelberg Nature Reserve and minor maintenance work due to delays in the project, which has led to a differentiation in the 2019-20 financial years. Other notable changes include the realignment of funds for the Berg River Improvement Plan, the Coastal Management Program, the Water for Sustainable Growth and Development Project, and the Regional Socio-Economic Projects. Violence protection through urban upgrading, all having funds to be made available in the 2019-20 financial year. Deputy Speaker, I would like to welcome the adjustment budget appropriation of Vote 9. This is an effective budget that reflects the needs and priorities of the people of our great province, especially those who are the most vulnerable within our society. As the DA in the Western Cape, we will continue to advocate for responsible and transparent spending and long-term investment in public infrastructure and services required to ensure that every resident of our province enjoys a decent quality of life and that we iron out inequalities. Speaker, in this great province, we promote a resilient, sustainable, and inclusive living environment in support of human well-being. We want our residents to live happy and dignified lives. We continue our commitment to the people of this province in providing service excellence. Through the increased pressure on natural resources to meet the growing demand, we pledge to the people of the Western Cape that we will continue to plan and manage accordingly to ensure that their needs and demands are met. Deputy Speaker, we can only build on those successes and do more. We live in a great province under the DA. Deputy Speaker, our residents are accustomed to the very best, and we will continue to provide the very best and more to our residents. Deputy Speaker, our promise to our residents of the Great Western Cape is that money that is meant for them will never land up in our stomachs. The people of the Western Cape can trust the government to serve them and our communities, and not just family and friends. We live in a great province. We acknowledge the growing demand, and we have the political and administrative will to meet those demands. Deputy Speaker, I wish to thank the Honourable Minister Anton Berdel for his hard work, commitment, and dedication. Alongside with that, the department, the HOD, the previous chair next to me, Honourable Tertia Simmers, for handing the baton over, all standing committee members, the coordinator, Ms. Van Niekerk, and all support staff on the 5th floor. In conclusion, Deputy Speaker, this budget adjustment 2018 for the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning is supported by the Democratic Alliance. I thank you.
The Honourable Diana.
Thank you, Speaker. This adjustment period has seen a decrease of 19 million in the adjustment estimates from the main appropriation. This once again proves that the DA Western Cape government is not taking its role serious. The role of the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning is twofold: safeguarding the ecosystem of the Western Cape for future generations while sustainably developing the landscape in which we live. The following program decreases of 12 million for biodiversity management and 1 million decrease of development planning further illustrates this point. The department does not take protecting the environment serious. They report year on year that there is an entity called the Commissioner for Environment, but their own admissions, they confirm that they failed to establish the office through enabling legislation and subsequently appointing a person according to constitutional prescripts. The 12 million reallocated to Cape Nature Why was money taken away from the biodiversity management program and not another unit? Last year, 16 million was taken from biodiversity for the same reasons. This department should consider the importance of transformation. They have only spent 17% to date on environmental empowerment services. This should have been 50% by now. It will lead to serious under-expenditure on a very important issue, the transformation of the environmental sector. Here is again evidence of how the DA Western Cape government undermines transformation. This was probably taken from their federal council stance of teaching black economic empowerment. This is exactly what the DA's broader economic empowerment framework looks like. The timing of the German Development Bank loan to the city of Cape Town is quite suspicious after the bank made donations amount to 14 million to this department, which is part of local government MEC Anton Bridel's ministry. Were there no cheaper loans available to the city? Like, for instance, BRICS Bank entities, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and the African Development Bank, International Development Association. Finance cost on 1.3 billion is a tremendous amount. Further, the loan will burden the people of Western Cape when the DA is no more in government. Since mid-2017, there has been many calls for action to clear pollution in Zandvlei urgently. There was a need to investigate the shocking state of pollution in the Zandvlei area, and immediate action was recommended to mitigate the problem. The Sand River between the Little Princess Vlei and the opening into the Zandvlei Nature Reserve was pictured polluted with the carcasses of dogs, plastic, rotting vegetables, and other waste. Mike Ryder, a volunteer who assists in cleaning the area, wrote a letter to the city appealing for a help. I open quote, "I was appalled and embarrassed at the amount of detritus, plastic tires, condoms, sanitary products, wrappers, bottles, etc., floating and suspended in the water and washed up in the reeds and on the shores. In April 2018, the city of Cape Town temporarily closed the Zandvlei water area as a precautionary measure following water quality concerns. The test results showed high levels of fissile coliforms within the water body, which indicates an elevated risk to human health. The public is therefore advised to avoid all contact with the water at Zandvlei until these levels fall back within national recreational water use guidelines," close quote. This situation could have been avoided had local government MEC acted swiftly. Instead, his Environmental Affairs Department has abandoned their environmental oversight function. To our dismay as the ANC, we have learned that the Department of Environmental Affairs has been caught as an active player in heritage impact assessments relating to the Two Rivers Urban Park at Lisbik Observatory. What business does Environmental Affairs having paying for heritage specialists and consultants when that is the function of Heritage Western Cape? This department appealed the decision of Heritage Western Cape in order to assist the property developers, Lisbik Leisure Properties Trust. This is clear evidence of state capture. When a private developer's interests are in harm's way, the DA provincial government will say to hell with its constitutional mandate and intervene in favor of their donors, the various property developers. The ANC rejects the budget adjustment and reminds the people of the Western Cape that the ANC supports the heritage and environmental rights of all citizens which reside in the Western Cape. I thank you.
The ACDP and the EFF are not here, so the Minister Bradell to reply.
Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Deputy Speaker, this will be a short reply. I want to thank the members of the Standing Committee under the leadership of Member Philander. I want to say thank you very much for your commitment, for your leadership as the Chair of the Standing Committee. Also want to take this opportunity because for a long time the Honourable Member Simmers was Chairperson. It was also a privilege and honour to work with them. It's always important to understand the oversight role and to work together as a team to better the Western Cape for all. I'm not going to reply on the member Diana, because the researcher haven't done his homework and haven't spoke on the budget or the adjusted budget. The City of Cape Town, if they've got issues, they can take it up with the City of Cape Town. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister. That brings us to the end of this vote. The business of the House will now be suspended for lunch, and I remind members of the Speaker's lunch in the dining hall area. Business is suspended. The bells will be rung to indicate the restart of business. The bells will ring.